So I got a VR headset recently. That's pretty cool. But in all seriousness, I finally raised up enough funds to buy an Oculus Rift S. I've been meaning to get one since I bought this computer, but I haven't had enough money until now. So I figured I'd talk about it, because I know a lot of people have a lot of questions when it comes to VR. So the first game I knew I wanted to play was Super Hot VR. As many of you know, I played through the desktop version not long ago, and it's probably the most innovative shooter I've ever played. But the VR version is the best shooter I've ever played. But to understand why, we first must understand what was present in the original version. To do so, let's look at my favorite level of the desktop version. You're in an elevator with 3 guys, each equipped with a pistol. What do? Well, since time doesn't move, you can think it through. One of the solutions is to steal a gun from the person to your left, dispose of him, dodge the remaining incoming bullets, shoot the guy to your right, then finish off the remaining guy. However, this solution isn't why I love the game, rather, the struggle of coming to this conclusion. And that is the beauty of Superhot, manipulating time in order to solve puzzle-like levels. So now that we have an understanding of Superhot, what does the VR version add that puts it above its predecessor? Well, for starters, it gets rid of any and all limitations present in the original game. A great way of demonstrating this is the movement. In the original game, you were a bloated hitbox that could barely move out of the way of incoming fire. This is all intentional as it forces players to think through their actions, but it sort of hinders the game's fluidity. But this is not a problem in the VR version, as it takes full advantage of analog movement. Just the simple addition of ducking allows for a whole new world of possibility. For example, cover can now come in any form. You can avoid incoming punches and perform a counterattack, and, obviously, avoid bullets easier. The VR version is full of small changes like this one that makes the overall experience just that much more comprehensive. From being able to dual wield, block incoming bullets, and have greater accuracy, the VR version is more super hot with fewer limitations, and I love it. Superhot VR is a must-play, and I think it is the best example of what VR can add to gameplay. Now the next game I wanted to talk about is Vivecraft. This is a mod of Minecraft that gives VR capability to the Java edition of the game. While Mojang does have its own official version of VR Minecraft, it kinda sucks. Controller inputs are still required, and the only interaction allowed is turning with the headset. But thankfully, the fans came to the rescue and did what Mojang couldn't. Vivecraft is great. You punch a tree, and the tree breaks. This has been a dream of mine since I was 5, and finally being in Minecraft was amazing. The only issue is, with current VR technology, Minecraft doesn't really work. It's very clunky, and while the fan-made aspect could play a part, I don't think the developers are at fault. I just think that until we figure out how to transport ourselves into the game, not literally, but where you take a step and the character follows, I don't think games like Minecraft will work in a VR space. There are things that you can do, like use locomotion, which is where you move your arms and the character walks, but it's still held back by current limitations. It just doesn't feel right, and while you can get used to it, games like Minecraft don't really work with modern tech. However, the people behind the mod are insane. It's free and really well made, and my hats are off to them. And next, I played VR Chat. I'm sure many of you recognize VR Chat from just being on the internet, but there's an aspect of it that goes under the radar. Sure, you do have the anime avatars and people who you would never admit to being associated with in real life, but overall, people there are a lot more civil than you may think. The classic Halo voice chat language is not present here, as while in that game you're trying to win, VR Chat is a game about socializing, so people are more open and kind. As a result of this, I think VR Chat shows what the future of social interaction can be in a similar vein as Superhot shows the future of gameplay. A future where you're not limited to strictly verbal communication, but don't have to worry about safety. VR Chat takes full advantage of VR, and is the best middle ground between personal and online interaction. Furthermore, it is very well made, especially for a free game. You can tell that the devs really want to make a safe but fun environment, and I really think they have succeeded. The last game I wanted to talk about is The Lab. While it's less of a game and more of a tech demo, it's still a good time. It's easy to see that the one constant when it comes to Valve is their humor. It really shines in this game, and had me laughing the whole way through. The game split up into multiple scenarios. that range from repairing Atlas to looking inside of a human skeleton, or throwing Jupiter into the sun. It's kind of random in that way, but this game still does a good job of showing off what VR can do. And it's free, so you might as well try it out. It's a good introduction to VR. Also, I love the feedback in this game. One issue I have with current VR is that when you put your hand through a wall, it goes right through. This is a huge immersion breaker, but in games like Boneworks and The Lab, a physics engine prevents this from happening, and it really makes the experience more immersive. The Lab is a cool experience, and I recommend it to anyone looking for a fun introduction to VR. And because of what Valve has done with this simple tech demo, I'm excited to see what Half-Life Alyx turns out to be. On top of that, anything that relates to Portal, I love, and seeing GLaDOS to scale was amazing. Also, I like smashing the mugs. In conclusion, VR is pretty cool. It's got a lot of room to grow, but if you have the time and money to invest in it, I think you should. It has a bright future, and there are a ton of bright, talented people pushing this medium forward. Well, that's all the time I have. I've got to get back to playing Animal Crossing New Leaf on my Nintendo 3DS. I need that on my desk by Monday!